So with that being said, at this time, I'll call on Larry Stevens. Larry is going to give us a state of the city or bring us up to speed on what's going on with the City of Edmond. And Larry, the microphone is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to touch on several things, really in no particular order, and hopefully leave time for questions, and certainly leave time for Janet's report and Randy's as well. I'll start with just an update on the state of our local economy. As the mayor mentioned, we continue to be very blessed, very fortunate, and our numbers are up actually, which we were not at all thinking that would be the case when we entered the pandemic. We're now 9 months into our current fiscal year. Our sales and use taxes are up. Sales tax is up 4.3% over the same period last year. Use tax is up over 25%. So we're in very good shape with that. We're very blessed. I think actually a lot of the cities in our area ended up better than they thought they would be when we started the pandemic. And that really includes Oklahoma City too. They're still down in some of their revenue sources, but not near to the extent that they thought they would be. So as things are opening up, we're optimistic about where we go from here. I just want to mention the fact that our Quiet Zone project, the partnership with the railroad, has now been completed. We heard from a lot of our citizens that really wanted to see what we could do to partner with the railroad to eliminate the blowing of their horns at our 11 city crossings. That has now been done, with the exception of the crossing at Coffee Creek. According to the federal guidelines, there just wasn't enough room at that crossing to construct the concrete medians, which is a requirement to eliminate the horns. So as an alternative, a wayside horn was installed. It's automatically triggered when a train approaches there, but it's at a decibel level far less than the other horn that they normally use. So that Quiet Zone project cost the city roughly about $4 million. All of the expenses were the city's responsibility. And we appreciate working with the railroad to get that done. That's a major step forward for us, and actually a significant part of the consideration that private investors have for investing in our downtown redevelopment as well. I just want to touch 1 minute on where we are with the AMI or smart meters in our community. It's something that's part of the report I'll give to the council on Monday night. We have several of our departments that are still working through some various mechanical communication and interface issues with both the electric meters and the water modules in the test area. However, we hope to get those resolved soon. The revised plan is to roll out 530 electric meters and about 240 water meters in the test area by June. We also hope to begin the full citywide rollout to start that by the end of the calendar year. Two main features that I think our citizens will be very pleased with, in addition to things that will save our systems money. This system will greatly improve our outage management system for both utilities, and a very key component of this is that it will allow our customers to monitor their water usage on a daily basis. We've heard a lot of feedback from people in the community that feel that that's an important consideration, and that is a feature of smart meters. So we look forward to being able to provide that to our customers too. But anyway, we're moving forward with that as well. I want to touch just a little on our water and sewer capital improvements. Because we've heard comments about utility rates, and obviously utility rates have been a concern with some people in the past, and still are. I think the people that have really tried to get informed on this issue will realize where we are with that. We have been following the 2013 Water and Wastewater Master Plan since that time. we're looking at spending probably close to $450 million when all is said and done in the next 5 to 7 years over both utilities. One of the things that's important for our people to realize, though, is that this situation is certainly not unique to Edmond. Oklahoma City recently met with their rate consultant, and they are looking at potentially up to $3.8 billion in water and sewer capital infrastructure over the next 10 years. Enid recently announced plans for a $300 million plant as well, and so did Stillwater. They're looking at a $320 million water plant. So I think you'll see additional communities look at this. These are issues that are not unique to those particular communities, but they are issues that need to be addressed. I think this community has tremendously benefited over the years from a city council that has been willing to take a proactive, long-term, big picture view in terms of utilities. I don't think many people in our community are that particularly aware of that, but it is a definite factor in terms of how we're able to accommodate the infrastructure needs that we have. Our rates are high. We realize that. We have acknowledged that. We're not insensitive to that at all. Certainly the council is not either. But as these other communities look at the major price tags for their improvements, they're looking at significant rate increases too. And I think you're going to see that. One of the things that we also had mentioned that some people had said, well, maybe we can pause rates. Just as a reminder, we did pause rates a year ago. The council made the decision not to increase water and sewer rates in November of 2019. They postponed that annual increase for a year. So rates have already been paused once. That's certainly something the council obviously can look at anytime they choose to. Something else I want to mention is that we now have updated information on our water system improvements. And I shared with the council yesterday that Chris Knifing has now updated our water system master plan, and we have a 2021 update that I think is incredibly easy to understand. It's comprehensive. It lets people know exactly what we're looking at in terms of our water utility and why we needed a revised plan. That information will all be available on our website as well. I think another point that's important for people to remember, especially in light of the recent cold and snowstorm that we had, concerning both our water and electric utilities, our system worked. And we have a system that is not inexpensive to operate or build, but I think the commitment that's been made by this city over the years, I think you saw some of the results in that in terms of that storm. We did not have any rolling blackouts. We did not have any major main breaks as well. So again, I think it's important for people to remember that our system worked. One other thing that I want to mention is a 10-year chart that Chris has prepared. I've shared this with the council as well. And it identifies our monthly water usage for the last 10 years and then gives an average per month. I think one thing that's important for people to realize, and a lot of people probably don't, is that when you look at that chart, one thing that really jumps out at you is that for 8 or 9 months of the year, we currently have more than enough capacity to handle the demands on our system. It's the 3 or 4 warmer months that create that additional demand. And the reality is, in both electric and water systems, since you have to build your system to accommodate your peak demand times, what we're really doing is a big part of the additional infrastructure that we're looking at is necessitated to meet the demand in the warmer months. And to be very candid, it's needed to meet the demand of people watering their lawns. outdoor water use, lawn watering, pool watering, etc. So that's a factor that doesn't get talked about much, but it's certainly very clear when you look at some of the information. With that, I'm going to move away from that and just touch on a little bit. I think Janet's going to talk about it too, is downtown redevelopment. And it's a major priority for us. We have had major traction already in terms of being able to accommodate public-private partnerships in the city. And as I mentioned earlier, a chunk of that is the quiet zone. However, we were fortunate to have our first TIF project approved in Edmond a few months ago. I think it's important for everybody to realize that project is not a tax increase, but significant public involvement in infrastructure is needed in order for the private sector to work and be able to accommodate their projects in the downtown area. We're looking at potentially a proposed budget of up to $55 million in improvements. And that will stimulate, we believe, up to $530 million in additional private investment over a maximum of 20-year period. I think it's also important for people to remember that 10% of that tax increment, which is the additional property tax generated in the area by these improvements, 10% of that increment will go to the schools to help them as well. So I'll leave the particular projects alone. I do want to mention a couple other things. I know Randy's going to talk on the East Edmond Development Study. We think this is one of the most critical projects that our community can do. Very appreciate the support of the council in doing that. What this project is going to do and is doing is assess potential land use scenarios on the east side of our community, and then develop some sort of potential cost benefit analysis for those. And then ultimately a decision will be made by the community in terms of what development scenario is most appropriate for our community as we move forward. This is a critical long-term big picture discussion for us to have. I think you could argue this could have been done 5 or 10 years ago as well, but it's very important that it's being done now, and I'll let Randy talk about that more. One other thing, I just want to mention two things actually, and I know I'm taking too much time, so I'll get off of here shortly. Traffic remains the #1 concern for our community. We're very aware of that. The most current project that we have that people are wondering where we are with it is the particular section of the Coville widening from Fairfax to Griffin. We hope to have 1 lane each way open soon. Initially, we were hoping to have 1 lane open each way by the end of the calendar year. But because of a variety of things, including the snow and ice storm, weather that was way too cold to pour concrete, wet weather that wouldn't allow them to build the retaining walls, that project got moved back. But if you go and look at that, or if you ever buy that area, there are a lot of people working on that. So it's not like they're casually moving forward. They are moving forward. That project's going to cost us $9.6 million. And we hope again to maybe have most of the major construction done by the end of April. One other thing I want to mention, and that is that we think it's a great tool that we've had in place now for a couple of years. Actually, it was Andy Conyers' idea in our office, but if you want to see what the city is doing and what the current status is of a particular project, all you have to do is go to our website and look at the comprehensive list of city projects. I think the last update had over 40, 45 projects in terms of where we are, what's recently been completed, what's pending. That is updated monthly. So it is a great tool for people that want to know where are we with this or that particular project. We've had some very good feedback on it, but we want to keep reminding people that that is there, because it's a tremendous way for all of you to stay informed. So with that, I know I've taken too much time. If you have questions at the end, I'll sure try to answer those for you. And With that, Tim, I'll turn it back over to you.